Hi there, my name's Christopher, and I'm making this video because I think it's important to share what's happened to me in my life. So let me, I don't even know how to start this video, honestly. Something's happened for me that is beyond. Wow, those are two huge hawks. Look at that. Those are two gigantic hawks that just are flying around. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. That's exactly, oh wow, that's so weird. Look at that. Those beautiful big hawks. It's so weird. This is exactly, it's so strange. Talk about synchronicities. This is exactly, oh my God, this is so important because this is kind of fits in exactly with what I'm about to tell you. God, I hope the camera caught that. So anyways, I'm out here kind of in a forest area near our house. And let me just kind of tell you a little bit about me. I grew up on the West Coast in a very famous family from the entertainment business. And I myself am, semi-known, but my family is like major well-known. And I'm in the middle of my life, let's say. And, I've been married for a while, for many years. Been sober. I'm sober a bunch of years. Grew up in this way where both parents were well known. Kind of had a crazy growing up thing. Not a lot of peace. Although I had great parents, there was a lot of craziness that goes with that kind of lifestyle, if you can imagine. Paparazzi times a million, people coming to try to kidnap us, a lot of scary shit growing up. And all through that, trying to be a kid and grow up and play sports and have a life and have girlfriends and, my parents doing their very best to have careers and raise us as kids. So that was my life. I grew up on the West Coast. Went to high school, went to college, did all these things. I've worked all my life. I've been in entertainment-related field all my life. And like I said, been married a bunch of years. And so, basically, about 7 months ago, in September, I'm at our house. It's in the middle of the day, clear skies. The city is delivering trash cans for us to have for our new trash cans for our house. And I'm walking down the driveway, and I get the trash cans, I pull the trash cans up, I'm carrying them up to the house, and I casually look up into the sky, and I see above our house, no bullshit, a couple 100 feet above our house, the size of a helicopter, not making any sound, what looks to be like a walnut, it looks to be like a giant walnut, the size of a helicopter. It's got pieces of metal coming out on each side like an X. And I'm looking at this thing. It's a couple 100 feet above our house. There's no sound. I know the difference between a plane and a drone and a helicopter. This thing is just basically hovering there in the air, no sound. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm looking at it for 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God, this is, actually shorter than that. I'm thinking to myself 5 or 10 minutes into it, this is a fucking UFO. And as soon as I thought that, before I tell you that, so I'm looking at this thing, looks like a walnut hovering in the air, the size of a helicopter, not making any sound, has pieces of metal sticking out that look like an X on either side. I'm seeing the sun shine off one side of this thing, so I can see that it looks like metal with the color of you know, with the sun shining off one side, seeing that silver color of metal, the other side dark. So I'm watching this thing for 5 or 10 minutes, you know, and then I start to think, oh my God, that's a fucking UFO. And as soon as I see that, or say that in my head, this entire thing lights up golden and like LED golden color. And I'm watching this thing for literally like 20 minutes. And the more I'm saying to myself, oh my God, there's a fucking UFO in my head, the thing goes from totally golden now, like an LED golden color, to doing patterns of golden light. Like if you look on a computer screen and you punch in sort of hieroglyphic sort of type of symbols, it's doing that on the face of the craft in golden patterns. And I'm totally fucking blown away. I'm watching this thing for 20 or 30 minutes, literally 20 or 30 minutes, and you know, and I'm like thinking, oh my God, this is fucking amazing, but yet I'm also thinking I got to get back to work, and I'm torn because this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life, but yet I got to go back to work. So the thing slowly starts to drift off into the sky, into nothingness, and I was totally blown away. I picked up the phone, I called my mom, you know, and this is a woman who I've been super close to my whole life, you know, and I told her what I had just seen, a UFO, and she was, and the reaction that I got was, you know, a concerned reaction, trying to be loving but concerned, and worried about me, like I had just lost my fucking mind. So I basically tabled that conversation, and I sort of like, yeah, it was great. You know, I sort of backed off of the excitement because I was shocked by the response. And, you know, I told my wife, she had the same basic response too. And let me just say a little quick sort of backup piece of information. About a year earlier, or 2 years earlier, I had seen the Stephen Greer film, Sirius. And I was totally blown away by that film. Just loved it. I mean, really loved it. And so much so that I made contact with Stephen Greer because I thought it would have his life would make a great reality show. And so we talked and we connected, and I thought I had him a deal for the show, but he ended up not wanting to do it for his personal reasons, which is fine. I totally got that. And moved on. And so then a year later, I see this movie, the next one, the Unacknowledged movie, which even blew me away more. And I totally, absolutely loved the movie. Sorry, I'm here. There are people walking everywhere. So I totally loved the movie. And I remember in this movie where he teaches you to do like a meditation where you're envisioning yourself in space and seeing yourself in space, and then kind of sending out a loving message to, you know, ET UFOs, and then visualizing in space, showing where you are in space, and then going down to like the world, and then America, and then Southern California, that kind of thing. And so when I had that, so cut forward, like, you know, a year later, I'm having this experience, which is totally blowing me away, right? So the next day, basically, I went out and I bought myself a laser pointer, which is something that Stephen Greer suggests to make contact. And I remembered the meditation. And so I go out that next night, and I go outside of our house in our garden, and I do the meditation, and I do the little signal of laser in the sky, and holy fucking shit. But, you know, like 10, 15 minutes later, I'm having these flashes in the sky, again, the size of a helicopter, like a perfect circle, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm like totally blown away, excited. I yell for my wife to come outside. She runs outside, and this thing does 10 or 15 more flashes, and she's looking at this thing going, I don't know what this is, but I'm going inside. And she was freaked out, you know, which I totally get. And so I'm just like, completely amazed and just like totally blown away. So basically, so I was so on fire now because of that. you know, those two experiences, because I have never in my life had experiences like that. I have never been a paranormal guy or a science fiction person. I mean, I like Star Wars, you know, these kind of things. But I never was a conspiracy internet guy, you know, video guy, you know, dark forces kind of person. I was always, you know, kind of like a spiritual person, but not super spiritual, not religious, like Star Wars, but that was about the size of it for me. So basically, I was totally blown away by those two experiences, and you know, and I wanted to have more contact, you know, and I had bought this laser pointer. So those two things happened in September, those 2 days in a row, and then basically what happened was that after that night, literally almost every night, I was having these contact experiences where I would do the meditation, and I would do the laser pointer, and I'd have the craft fly over literally and do the signal. Now see these hawks in the sky right there? Since this has started happening, there have been hawks literally everywhere I go, and there have been hawks literally like flying. I walk out of my house, and I swear to God this happened a bunch of times. A hawk would fly literally over my head, touching almost my head with its claws and flying in front of me. And in some of these experiences, the craft, I would see like a shadow of a craft, and it would be in the shape of a hawk. And when we just started this video, these two giant hawks were in front of us, and now there's one in the sky right there. I hope you can see it. I hope you can see that. But they're everywhere. And I really think hawks and owls are connected to these things. So basically, this has been happening every night. It started happening since in September and would happen every night. And, you know, I would have to do the meditation and do the laser thing. And, but then, and I would always go out at dusk. You know, but then what happened is after a couple months of that happening, it kind of moved forward, and then I didn't have to do the laser pointer thing or even the meditation. I would just literally go outside at a certain time, and I would think to myself that I wanted to make contact with them, and I swear to God to you, literally, it would happen. And then it started moving forward. It started moving forward where the craft wouldn't signal anymore, but they would fly like maybe 1,000 feet in the air. I'd see a craft zip across the sky, and then something would pop out of it. It would be like a golden orb would pop out of it and fly all the way down from the top of the sky, 1,000 feet up, literally over the top of my roof. I'd be standing in my driveway outside at night. This thing would literally come all the way down to the top of my roof, about a foot above my roof, and it would sit there with me, you know, and for about a minute, and it would slowly go invisible, but I could tell they were still there. There would also be white orbs that would like do that too out of these ships, and there would be some like pale sort of blue ones. But you know, the most amazing thing, I mean, it's all amazing, but one of the most amazing thing is when you'd sit there with this orb, you would be hit with this emotion. Like, just imagine the most intense loving feeling that you've ever felt in your entire life times 1,000,000. And in that emotion, I mean, you'd be hit with this emotion where you felt so loved and so taken care of and safe, and you know, that would happen. And at the same time, you're terrified. I mean, I was so fucking scared that I thought I was going to get eaten or taken away. I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. But in this emotion would be information that would be laced into the emotion. So you'd get hit with this big hit of emotion, like you were almost intoxicated from this emotion. And in this emotion would be images and would be information. And I'll talk about that later in other videos, but it was crazy. And so that went on for, it's been going on for now 7.5, 8 months. That was the first 3 or 4 months. And then it progressed even further from that point where, you know, they would now, I wouldn't have to signal them or meditation, or they wouldn't even signal themselves. They would just basically come down as an orb and then start to do all these crazy things. Like I'd be standing in my driveway and literally, like, let's say, you know, maybe 10 feet up, 10 feet in the sky, from this direction to that direction, literally out of nothing, you'd see sparks, like electric sparks, and a fireball that looked like a comet the size of a baseball would be like go and fly across your peripheral vision, and that would be golden or white. And all these different kinds of things were happening like that, you know, all kinds of bumps and bangs in the house, just all kinds of stuff. And meanwhile, the entire time, you're literally getting these messages in your head. It's not like a booming voice, but it's like this subtle sounding message, like a voice that's kind of in your own voice. And I ask myself a ton of times, like, this could be me, you know, answering for myself. And, you know, again, this is all me assuming stuff. But, you know, whenever I would have these exchanges, I would ask questions and they would answer us and we, not, you know, and I was really trying to monitor how I thought. And the responses would always come back us and we when I would ask these questions. And the wording were words that I never choose. And so one of these days, about 3 or 4 months into it, I said, okay, if you're real, you know, give me something that I have no idea about, that I've never heard. And this word, I'm driving back from, you know, the ocean area to our house, and this word pops into my head, biocentric. So I Googled it, I wrote it down, I Googled it, never heard it before. And I wrote it, and I Googled it, and what I found out was, you know, a couple things, which totally fucking blew me away, which the world's leading stem cell researcher, Dr. Robert Lanza, has just written a book called Biocentricism, which they're calling a genius piece of work, reimagining humanity's connection with the cosmos, and that how consciousness, everything is conscious, and we are all connected, and through consciousness, man is connected to everything, opening the gateway and the doorway to the cosmos and beyond. I'm not giving it a good definition, but something like that. And it was exactly on the topic, and, you know, oneness and all these messages that I was getting, and it was just, you know, crazy. This whole experience has been really isolating, you know, in a weird way. I'm not a crazy person. I'm very sane, but you feel really fucking crazy going through this because you can't share it really with anybody, you know, because you feel, you know how it sounds. You know how stuff sounds. You know all of that. And you can see the reactions on people's faces when you tell them stuff, when you dare to tell them stuff. It's just, you know, they look at you like you're a fucking Fruit Loop. So basically, you know, I mean, and during this whole process, I was terrified. I would have an experience and run in the house 2 seconds into it, and you know, and that never came from them. It came from me. And I think I've gotten past that now, you know, and there's a lot more I can say on the subject, but it's even advanced even more. And now basically it's all about consciousness. And, you know, you know, about a month or two ago, I started looking out our window at night, and I would see all these flashes of light, look like dark shadows flying around. And that went on for a week or two. And then I started seeing hundreds and hundreds of orbs that were these dark shadows, and that went on for a week or two, but not clearly. And then it got clearer, and I would see orbs, and I would see this looks like animated whiffs of smoke flying with the orbs, flying around all my faces and my peripheral vision. I would start to see, you know, dots of golden and green and red light with electricity sort of energy around it. And all of this stuff with my eyes, and now it's become to the point where wherever I look, if it's a little bit dark, I see these things. And so, you know, my feeling is that it's a process that they take you through if you're willing to learn. And then honestly, it's not about spaceships or UFOs or things in the sky. That's just to get our attention and to kind of indoctrinate us into this experience. And I can tell you from my understanding, it's all assumption, that intention is everything. Meaning how your intention is everything in terms of having this experience or not. There are no dimensions. There is no separation. They're not coming from some other place into our space. That's all bullshit, in my opinion. My opinion is, and this is assumption, that they're here, we're all together, there's no separation, there's no dimensions, there's no this, no that, it's all together as one soup. They're here, everything is here, all the energies, everything is here. But what it is it's about perception. Is that it's layers of perception that the person has to go through, consciousness, perception, the ability to see. You know how it starts is you have to be willing to say, okay, what the fuck? Let's just imagine for a fucking second that even 2% of this is true. So you have to go out into the night and start out with that kind of feeling inside of you, intention. And then you have to be open to the possibility that maybe this fucking shit could happen, but with a real, true, honest intention. You go out like that with your heart connected to that sort of state of mind. And if you do that, then the doorway opens. And then if you can hold that intention, the doorway slings wide, wide open, and you walk through it. And then you start to go into this process of being taught about energy, oneness, connection, and how vital it is, you know, that to understand that we are all one. Earth, sky, water, land, human, animal, beings from another world, energy beings. We're all together. We're all one. And we have to take a serious step back at how we've been doing things and really realize that it's vital to be conscious of every second choice you take to try to figure out how, as a collective, how to heal each other, heal the planet. Realize that man does not have any kind of right or privilege over any other being. Whether it's a piece of dirt, or an animal, or a bird, or a being from another world, or the earth or the sky, these things are hugely important. I mean, that is my assumption, what I'm getting from these experiences. And it's about a biocentric philosophy, point of view, way of living. And that is really the message, is to delve deep into understanding what biocentricism is. And to try to be, not try, but to definitely act and be in that way of being with everything around you, everything that you experience, and at the same time, open your heart and your mind to saying, what if I could be totally loved and taken care of? What if my brother could be totally loved and taken care of? What if we could heal Mother Earth? What if we could have no war? What if we could have all the food and water and everybody that needed whatever they needed could have whatever they wanted? What if there are other beings from other worlds or I was going to say dimensions, but in this world that we can't perceive, what if that's all true? We've been doing it this other way where we're scared and attacking and war, and we're working off the principle that we're all separated and there's not enough for everybody, and we've been doing that now forever. Why can't we at least for 1 second try another path? Because what if, just on a bullshit whim, what if that's true? Why not give it a try the other way and not poo-poo it and not say it's fucking hippie bullshit or this or that, but just for a second, give it a shot. Because I think, honestly, guys, in my opinion, and again, I could be totally fucking wrong, but this is my assumption based off what I feel in my gut, in my DNA that is 100% real, what I'm sharing with you. And I'm not claiming to be some master or owner of the information or creator of any. I'm interpreting what I'm going through physically, visually, emotionally, and I'm just telling you exactly what I see and what I'm experiencing. All right, so thank you so much. You know, I just didn't put my face on camera just because my family is kind of a well-known family, and I just didn't want to fuck with them and or my other family in any way, because, you know, this is something that has happened to me, and I as a person who I am, I can't turn my back on it. I gotta share it. I gotta be a part of trying to help. I gotta be a part of the solution rather than the problem. But it's not their journey. If they want to be on that journey, that's their choice, and they can make that choice. And I would meet them open arms. I'd meet anybody open arms that way. But I'm not going to put that on them by putting my face on camera and then having that kind of lead to a bunch of horse shit. So, you know what? I'm sending all you guys out there in the world love. I hope you're doing okay. I want you to be happy. I want to be happy. I want to be safe and connected and protected, and I want all of that for you too, and for our earth and for our world. And, you know, and fuck, I grew up fighting and into martial arts and all that bullshit. It's not bullshit, but I mean, I grew up some other kind of person. But this experience has really, I mean, I was never a bully or any of those things. I was just a normal dude. But, you know, I liked watching, you know, the fights and blah, blah, blah. You know, so, but this experience has just kind of opened me up, and it keeps on happening. And that's the weird part of it is that you have this experience, it's like, holy shit, from another world kind of experience. But then you have to wake up and go to work and do your taxes and eat food and take care of your wife. And then you start to believe, well, maybe I was daydreaming, or it was fucking fantasy, or who knows, you know, somebody slipped me some drugs or something. But then it happens again. You know, and now it's happened so much for so long that it's real. And so, and now I know every second counts, and every choice we make counts, and it makes for a better world or a worse world. So I want for all of us a better world. I want for all of us to be one connected family with everyone, you know. And so that's the point of why I'm trying to do all this stuff. All right, so sending you love. Hope you guys are good. Take care of yourself. All right, bye.